He doesn't fall in love when you give more. He falls in love when you need less. Let's be honest. You've been told your whole life that the more you give, the more he'll love you. Be kind. Be patient. Be available. Be everything. But here's what no one told you. The moment you make a man your center, you lose your own gravity. You cancel your plans just to match his. You shrink your dreams so he feels big. You silence your needs just to keep the peace. And then one day, you look in the mirror and wonder where the woman you used to be has gone. Let me say this with love, but with truth. If you have to lose yourself to keep him, you've already lost more than he's worth. This is not a video about winning him back. This is not a guide to make him jealous or chase you. This is a shift, a reclamation, a return to your center. Because when you live by Stoic principles, calm, self-mastery, clarity, you don't try to make someone stay. You become someone they fear losing. You'll learn 6 powerful shifts in this video. 6 ways to stop chasing. Stop proving. Stop breaking yourself to be enough. And instead, start living, rising, and choosing yourself first. This is for the woman who's done being too available, who's tired of overgiving, who's ready to become the version of herself she respects, even if it scares others. If that's you, keep watching, because once you become the woman who doesn't need anyone, everyone starts to notice. Welcome to the Silent Thinker. Let's begin. Part 1. Emotional Mastery, the quiet power of a Stoic woman. There's one thing that drains a woman's power in a relationship, faster than anything else: letting her emotions dictate her behavior. When you love someone so much that every little thing they do affects your mood, whether it's a delayed text, a cold reply, or a shift in tone, you've handed over your emotional control. That's not love, that's dependence. Stoicism teaches us this fundamental truth. We don't control others. We only control our responses. A modern Stoic woman doesn't explode, chase, or spiral. She pauses, she breathes, she observes, and then she chooses her reaction not out of fear, but from self-respect. Imagine 2 women in the same scenario. Woman A gets upset over a late reply. She floods his phone with messages, sarcasm, or silence, hoping he'll feel guilty and come closer. Woman B gets the same late reply, but she doesn't panic. She continues her day, stays present, and responds calmly when she's ready. Her peace isn't disrupted. She doesn't need to overreact to be seen. Which woman do you think holds more power in his mind? Exactly. The woman who holds her center becomes magnetic, not because she tries to be, but because she is grounded. She's not desperate. She's not easy to read. And that mystery pulls him in. So, how do you become emotionally sovereign? You start by asking, is this emotion mine? Or is it my reaction to someone else's inconsistency? Then, you pause. You take space. You journal. You meditate. You take a walk. And you don't send that message just to feel seen. You don't demand validation to soothe your insecurity. A Stoic woman isn't cold. She's composed. And when a man sees that, He doesn't just respect her, he fears losing her, because deep down, he knows she doesn't need him. She chooses him. Part 2. Stop making him the center. You are the sun of your own universe. One of the most common mistakes women make in relationships is this: they revolve their entire lives around a man. They cancel plans, rearrange their schedules, push their goals aside, all for the sake of spending time with him. It may look like love. It may even feel like devotion. But what it really creates is imbalance, and worse, resentment. When you make him the center of your world, you stop being the center of your own. A modern Stoic woman knows that love isn't about sacrifice. It's about alignment. You don't give up your purpose for someone's presence. You don't shrink to fit into a man's life. You expand, and either he meets you there or he watches you walk. Because here's what most women don't realize: the more available you are, the more he takes you for granted. And it's not even intentional, it's human nature. We don't value what is always there. We value what is grounded in its own worth. Let me paint you a picture. Woman A waits by the phone. She drops everything the moment he calls. She's always ready, always reachable, always available. Her schedule is shaped by his. Woman B has a full life. She loves him, but she doesn't orbit him. She has goals. She has boundaries. She makes plans, keeps them, and expects to be met with the same level of effort. If he wants her time, he learns to respect it. Who do you think he feels more drawn to? Who inspires him to try harder? It's always the woman who isn't afraid to say, "I already have plans," or "Tonight's not good for me." Not to play games, but because her life matters too. So how do you stop centering your life around a man? 1. Prioritize your passions. Go after what lights you up: your work, your hobbies, your inner growth. That energy is magnetic. 2. Keep your commitments. Don't cancel your world just because he suddenly has free time. Let him see that your time is precious. 3. Find your joy from within. You don't need someone to complete you. You are not a half, waiting for another half. You're whole. 4. Don't wait around. If he pulls away, let him. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't put your life on pause, hoping he'll come around. Keep moving. He'll notice. The truth is, a woman who lives a full life, not in reaction to a man, but in alignment with her truth, is the one who commands respect. And the more you honor your path, the more any man worthy of your time will rise to meet you. In the next part, we'll explore one of the most underrated powers of a woman mystery, and why being a little less predictable might be your strongest form of attraction. Part 3. The power of mystery. Why he can't stop thinking about you when you don't say everything. We live in a world where oversharing is the norm. Everyone posts, texts, updates, explains. And somewhere in that flood of information, women were told the more you open up, the closer he'll feel to you. But here's the quiet truth. Every Stoic woman knows mystery is not distance. Mystery is depth. And the less you say, the more they want to know. When you hand over your entire story, your feelings, your daily thoughts all at once, you take away something essential, the desire to discover you. Men are natural explorers. They're wired to chase, to figure out, to pursue. But when there's nothing left to uncover, curiosity dies, and with it, attraction. This doesn't mean you become closed off or fake. It means you become intentional. You share with care. You choose when to reveal, what to hold back, and how to let someone earn their way into your inner world. Let's look at two women again. Woman A overshares early. On the first few dates, she spills everything past heartbreaks, fears, future dreams, what she ate that morning, what she plans to do next week. There's no room left for imagination. Woman B, she speaks with intention. She listens more than she talks. She shares stories, but leaves space for questions. She doesn't respond instantly. She lets silence stretch. She doesn't need to be a mystery, she simply is one. Guess who he keeps wondering about? It's not about being distant. It's about being deep. Here's how to bring mystery back without playing games. Share gradually, not instantly. Let people earn layers of you. There's no prize for being an open book on page 1. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let the pauses speak. Let him lean in. Let him ask. The pause is powerful. Be less predictable. Don't always reply right away. Don't always post your every move. Don't always say yes. Let there be space between the question and your presence. Keep some things just for you. Your rituals, your private joys, your evolving thoughts. A Stoic woman has an inner world so rich that not everything is for display, and that alone makes her unforgettable. Being mysterious doesn't mean being manipulative. It means being rooted, secure, selective, and that energy, it speaks louder than any words ever could. When he can't quite figure you out, when he knows there's more to learn, he leans in. He becomes present. He becomes invested. Because a woman who holds mystery in her silence, grace in her presence, and boundaries in her speech is not just desired. She is remembered. Part 4. Boundaries. When you say no, you teach him how to love you right. Some women fear that setting boundaries will scare a man away. Let me tell you something bold and true. If setting a boundary pushes him away, he was never planning to stay with respect in the first place. You see, boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks. They don't shut love out. They make sure only the right kind of love gets in. A Stoic woman isn't afraid to say no, not because she's harsh, but because she honors herself. She knows that love without respect is just manipulation in disguise. She's not interested in being liked at the cost of her self-worth. She would rather be alone with her dignity than held with dishonor. Let's look at what happens when boundaries are missing. A man shows up late again and she lets it slide. He goes silent for days and then texts, "Hey," and she replies in seconds. He talks over her, dismisses her feelings, breaks promises, and she forgives, all in the name of keeping him. But every time you allow someone to cross a line without consequence, you're silently teaching them that your comfort, your time, your values are negotiable. You're not here to teach someone how to walk all over you. You're here to show them what's required if they want to walk beside you. So what does a Stoic woman do? She knows her non-negotiables. Before the relationship even begins, she's clear cheating, disrespect, inconsistency, whatever her core boundaries are, will not be tolerated. She speaks up, calmly, directly. She doesn't wait for things to boil over. She addresses issues early, with grace but firmness. She follows through. If she says, "I won't tolerate being ignored," and he ignores her, she distances herself, not to punish him, but to protect her peace. She walks away when needed. She doesn't scream. She doesn't beg. She simply walks, because her self-worth doesn't depend on someone else's willingness to do better. Boundaries aren't about being controlling. They're about being clear. They're how you say, "This is how I love, and this is how I expect to be loved in return." And a man who truly values you, he won't be intimidated. He'll be inspired. He'll rise to meet you there. Because deep down, every man knows the woman who can walk away is the woman you don't mess with, and the woman who can calmly say, "That doesn't work for me," is the one you hold on to because you know she won't stay for anything less than she deserves. Part 5. Be the challenge. When you're not easy to get, you become impossible to forget, a truth that many women overlook. What comes too easy is rarely valued. It's not because men are heartless. It's because human nature doesn't cherish what's handed to us without effort. We chase what we believe is worth earning. And when it comes to love, the same rule applies. A Stoic woman isn't hard to get as a game. She's a challenge because she has standards. She knows she's not here to entertain attention. She's here to witness consistency, respect, and real effort. She doesn't play impossible, but she does require intention. Let's go back to our comparison. Woman A is always available. He texts. She replies. He cancels. She forgives. He shows minimal effort, and she compensates by trying harder. He doesn't have to show up fully because she never expected him to. Woman B, however, shows up for herself first. Her time has structure. Her energy is sacred. If he wants her presence, he has to earn it not through grand gestures, but through small consistencies that prove character. Who do you think he values more? Exactly. When you're a challenge, you're not difficult, you're discerning. So how does a modern Stoic woman embody this kind of presence? She doesn't always say yes. If he makes last-minute plans, she checks her schedule. If she's already committed, she doesn't cancel just to please him. She watches patterns, not promises. Words are easy. She pays attention to whether actions align, and she doesn't reward potential, she honors consistency. She doesn't rush to forgive. If he hurts her, she doesn't brush it off with "it's fine." She takes space. She reflects, and he feels the weight of disappointing her, not through guilt trips, but through her absence. She expects investment, time, effort, communication, accountability. If a man wants access to her, he needs to show up fully, not halfway. Being a challenge doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're clear. It means your love is rare, and not just anyone gets to experience it. And let's be honest, when a man feels like he has to try for you, he becomes more intentional, more focused, more present. He feels that he's earning something real, not just attention, but trust. Because here's the secret. The woman who is easily impressed is easily dismissed. But the woman who expects more of him and of herself is unforgettable. In the final part, we'll talk about what makes you truly irreplaceable, not beauty, not charm, but growth. Because when you keep evolving, no one can outshine you. Part 6, keep evolving. When you grow, he knows he could lose you. The most unforgettable woman is not the most beautiful. She's not the one who texts the fastest or forgives the easiest. She's the one who never stops growing. When a man sees you evolving mentally, emotionally, spiritually, he realizes something powerful. If I don't keep up, I could lose her, because growth is magnetic. It's rare, it's intimidating, and it's what separates the women who are tolerated from the women who are treasured. A Stoic woman doesn't grow just to prove a point. She grows because it's who she is. Her love is steady, but her path is upward. She doesn't pause her dreams to make someone else comfortable. She doesn't wait for approval to chase a new goal. She doesn't ask for permission to become more of herself. And that's exactly why she stands out. Let's look again at the two paths. Woman A settles. After getting into a relationship, she stops pushing herself. She no longer nurtures her hobbies. She drops her goals, and her world shrinks down to just us. Woman B. She loves deeply, but she keeps moving. She still pursues her interests. She reads, learns, starts new projects, invests in her health, builds her own life, not in spite of the relationship, but alongside it. And every day, her man realizes she's not the same woman I met. She's even better. And that thought both inspires him and humbles him. So how does a modern Stoic woman keep evolving? She sets personal goals. Whether it's starting a business, learning a new skill, or improving her fitness, she stays in motion. She invests in her mind. Podcasts, books, classes. She feeds her mind the same way she feeds her body, because a sharp mind is deeply attractive. She surrounds herself with growth. Her circle uplifts her. Her environment reflects her values. She outgrows what no longer aligns and does so without guilt. She takes risks, even small ones. A new hairstyle, a solo trip, a bold decision. She steps out of her comfort zone regularly because comfort never creates transformation. She finds joy in who she's becoming, not in comparison to others, not in competition, but in quiet gratitude for the woman she sees in the mirror today and who she's shaping into tomorrow. And when a man witnesses this, He doesn't take you for granted. He doesn't feel entitled. He feels lucky, and maybe even a little nervous, because he knows you're not stagnant. You're rising, and if he wants to stay in your life, he better rise with you, because the woman who keeps evolving, she doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, she simply becomes too extraordinary to lose. Conclusion: you don't need to be chosen. You need to choose yourself. If you've made it this far, take a deep breath, because what you've just heard isn't a strategy to manipulate men. It's not a dating trick. It's a reminder, a quiet, powerful reminder of who you really are beneath the noise. You don't need to become someone else to be loved. You don't need to beg to be kept. And you definitely don't need to prove your worth to anyone who can't already see it. A modern Stoic woman doesn't play small. She doesn't over-explain her value. She doesn't perform for affection. She lives. She leads. She lets go when necessary. She knows that when a man sees her calm in chaos, her depth in silence, her fire beneath stillness, he won't just want her. He'll fear losing her. But here's the real shift. She no longer fears losing him. She doesn't build her identity around someone's opinion or availability. She builds it on character, on resilience, on alignment with her principles. Because love, real love, is not about control. It's about freedom. Two whole people choosing each other again and again, not out of fear, but from fullness. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to be loved and started loving yourself with that same devotion? What would change if you stopped proving and started protecting your peace? What if, instead of making someone the center of your world, you became the sun and let everything else revolve around your light? The truth is this: when you become the woman who doesn't chase, doesn't settle, and doesn't shrink, you don't need to keep anyone. They'll either step up or step out, and either way, you win, because you never needed a man to complete you. You needed to remember you were never incomplete. This is the silent thinker, and if this spoke to your soul, don't just listen. Live it, subscribe, share, and keep walking the quiet, powerful path of the modern Stoic woman. You are rare. You are radiant. And you are worth every bit of effort it takes to be with you. Now, go be her